Oh, hi there. Didn't see you coming.
Have you ever heard that you don't need any music theory to be a producer?
Well, you're wrong.
Hi, we are Yerba Mate, and this is our music theory course for producers. I'm Danilo.
And I'm Camilo, and we both met each other at the Royal Conservatory of The Hague.
I recently graduated in jazz guitar, whilst Camilo graduated in jazz saxophone. And we both share a deep passion for producing and creating music.
We both had our first encounter with music at a very young age, and throughout life and experiences, we discovered many ways to make music. Everything came together when we met in the Netherlands and started working with each other.
Together we work in many different environments, from live settings, where we play both as band leaders and sidemen, or in the studio, working as a producer, songwriter, or session musician.
We often get called from producers to work with them in the studio when it comes to translate the idea their clients have into their music.
And it often boils down to a small amount of music theory knowledge that we're going to share with you in this course. Together, we are going to go through all of them, because our experience taught us that this knowledge is very helpful to improve the communication with your fellow musicians or people you're working with in the studio, as well as fastening your creative process, and also to have a better understanding of the music you're creating.
As musicians, we learn music through an instrument, but we understand that that's not the case for everybody. So we decided to design this course based around the piano roll.
We're going to talk about ear training, whether it's to transcribe a melody that you have in your head, tune a sample or an 808, transcribing chords, putting chords to a bass line or bass line to a chord progression, and things like that.
We're also going to talk about rhythm, whether it's understanding the subdivision of the beat, finding the right tempo of your song, or spicing up little elements of your compositions to make them more original.
And finally, we're going to share with you the music theory knowledge that you need to bring your music to the next level. From note names to chords, intervals, counterpoint, counter melodies, bass notes, chord progressions, 7 chords, jazz chords, you name it. We're going to help the best way we can to make your music better.
We work with audio, video, and written material. Each lesson contains an assignment of which we will provide the solutions at the beginning of the next lesson. We're also going to provide you tips and tricks that you can use to work out the assignments as well as speed up your workflow.
Finally, you can check our website where you can find more information about this course and also group lessons and individual lessons in case this course isn't challenging enough for you.
Here's a list of common mistakes that we encounter after listening to music sent to us by producers that are not related to a music production matter but more to music theory. Listen to this.
Man, this sounds weird. The sample is in a meter of 3/4, whilst the beat we are doing is in 4/4. So even though I am stretching it correctly, I am trying to match the bars, I'm trying to match the transient. Every tactic I try doesn't lead to a better result. And this is because just the two time fields are different and they cannot match together. Let's try with another sample. This fits a lot better, don't you think?
Check this out.
In this example, if you listen closely, you can feel that there's something weird. More precisely, the sample is actually in another key compared to the bass. What about I do this? Nice, now it's rolling.
If you closely pay attention, you can hear that the 808 is not tuned. Let me do one thing. Check this now. Nice.
But let's now take a closer look to the piano roll, the main instrument that we're going to use for this course. So let's open Logic and start from the beginning.
We're going to keep it short today because we're going to talk about a lot of basic information that is not necessarily unknown to everybody, but is necessary to make everything clear and so that everybody can follow along. Let's open the piano roll and let's start making some sense on what we see.
We're gonna start with note names. This is the one that in music we commonly refer to as the middle C. In our DAWs, it's usually used as a reference point for many things, such as a sampler. In our course, we're trying to do the same and use it as a reference point as well on the topics that we're going to touch.
The piano roll looks exactly like a piano. It has black and white keys, and all the white keys are named after the first letters of the alphabet, and it goes like this: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. And it starts over, and so on and so on.
In between the white keys that we just named, you can see the black keys. They represent some other notes that are named after the note that is either above or below it, with an added sign, the sharp or the flat, next to it. For example, this is an E flat, because this is an E and the black key is slightly below it, so it's an E flat. But you may ask yourself, why is it not called a D sharp? Well, actually, because this is a D and this is like a little bit above, this is also called a D sharp and an E flat at the same time. It depends where you're coming from.
Okay. Despite this being very well-known knowledge, this might come in handy whenever you need to understand what is happening inside your piano roll and whenever you have the need of communicating it to your artist or musician. At the same time, you need to know your note names very well, so you can move around and recognize everything that is happening inside your piano roll super quickly.
Another thing that we need to clarify, talking about the piano roll, is note length. And this goes together with rhythm, so why don't we talk a little bit about it? Now you can hear the metronome, and it usually represents the beat of our song. You can probably count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, together with me. Usually it has a first sound that is a little bit stronger than the rest, and that represents the 1, or the beginning of the bar.
This is not only the tempo of your song, but it's also a grid or a reference that we're going to use to clarify some rhythms inside the song.
To help understanding rhythm, we're going to introduce a tool called the rhythm pyramid that is going to help us understanding and move through different levels of subdivision on how do we interpret this grid and how you can see, for example, here inside a bar we have 4 divisions. They are numbered with small numbers and they are also subdivided in equal parts, and you can basically arrange them in powers of 2. These, for example, are just quarter note. The quarter note is the note that goes together with the metronome. These, for example, instead are 8 notes. You can hear how they go faster than the metronome. Precisely, they go at the double of the speed. And what about this? These are called 16 notes. They divide the single beat in 4 equal parts, and you can hear it because they go even faster than the 8 notes.
We call them quarter note, 8 note, and 16 note because you can find 4, 8, or 16 equal parts of them inside a bar. What about this?
These are called triplets, and the name kind of explains itself. They're related to the 3. In this specific example, you can hear 3 notes played inside 1 beat.
In other cases, you can find 6, 9, and 12 as well.
Although the topics that we touched today were very basic and probably you already knew about them, don't worry. From the next lesson, we're going to start directly talking about ear training, and soon we're going to talk about scales, chord progressions, bass lines, 7th chords, and more things to make your music more interesting.
You can find more about this course and its program on the website. Now, let's go to the computer to give you your first assignment. This lesson was all about clarifying some very basic information that is going to be helpful to go on over the course. Let's take a look at the PDF. Try and complete the 3 exercises that we're giving you.
Solution will be provided at the beginning of the next lesson, together with a small recap of today's class.
We're glad that you guys are on board with us, and we're happy to help you.
Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.